Okay, well, looks like Rye went first and passed the turn.
Yeah. Um, it's an interesting no play strat. I feel like there's quite a few options to play
Mhm.
down, but actually, yeah, I'm curious why he did choose not to play any of his creatures available.
This is the Gildas and the Reclaim
Double
thing we
Reclaim
saw.
Gildas, although only one damage, so unfortunately
Yeah,
nothing too drastic here with this deck.
yeah. It might not be fast enough for Ennis's rush level 3 style. Definitely want to see some Dream Fears being used with those Reclaims to slow them down.
Alright, looks like back to face.
Focus Flames gets really punished here.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I If he's smart, you wouldn't use the floating memory from Reclaim right away so that uh
Just enough cards
you
for
can level
Gildas.
up. Yeah. You banish one instead, draw, go back to 7, and then you'll have the 7 card Gildas.
Yeah. Interesting turn one. Ennis's hand is not really developing well. He has no library witches.
Yeah.
He has a few floating memory cards that he can play, but there's no clear after that Focus Flame and the Ignite out of his hand now.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Alright, looks like he is indeed doing what you said. So, not banishing the Reclaim, instead leveling up by banishing one from memory and then bringing out Lorraine, likely bringing out the sort of Seeking as well. So we can probably expect to gild this into an attack for 5 damage on this turn now.
Then here's that Reclaim thing in case Rye wants to try another Reclaim, in case Rye wants to try to remove it somehow.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It gives a free level 2 as well, if he really wants to. Uh,
I'd go ahead and just swing with it
yeah,
with
you
the
don't need the 2
board.
durability.
You're thinking about it.
I mean, Reclaim. So we play 2 down into Reclaim, bring Gildas back into hand, and then you set yourself up again for next turn Gildas, swing again as well.
And then I'll free level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Additionally, if you're not threatened, you don't need to play Gildas. You can play out your Commander's Blade or your Ornamental Greatsword. So Gildas will swing for 5 now. I think he has a 3 cost card, potentially in memory, and if he does, then uh, it's another 6 damage plus 6 damage represented on the board, plus anything else he can potentially play too. Ugh, yeah, not the draw you want to see at the moment. As great of a card as Flame Rune Swordsman is, it's just not doing much onto this board state. You're not going to be able to clear Gildas. You're not going to be able to, and he recognizes that, uses the counters to draw, but unfortunately, nothing else playable at the moment besides that Swordsman.
I would rather have kept the Careful Study.
That was my thought
Uh,
as well. I don't really care for having the second swordsman. I'd rather guarantee the careful study in my hand in case you banish it now for say a tome or for leveling up. Uh, you have no engine right now to really get back into the game. Whereas that Careful Study, if you go level 3 now, you can play it immediately and start kind of like clawing your way back into the game with your health pool that you have. I think here, Ornamental
A
Greatsword is. Oh, go for it.
ornamental greatsword is fine. I'd like Fire Resonance Bauble more, just to give a little more control and turning on the Gildas.
Mm-hmm.
Another play is to just level up, which is fine too, because then you have the dungeon guide into infusion, which is really
Yeah.
strong.
Alright, he does bring out the Ornamental Greatsword. Maybe the more straightforward of the play, which is push damage.
What does he have a 3 cost? Oh, Combo Strike.
Oh.
No, Combo Strike is a 2
He can't play
cost.
Inspiring Call pre-attack. That also does. Oh, but the draw.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, he might have to dungeon. No, dungeon guide doesn't do it either. Uh, very awkward.
He can combo strike Inspiring Call, correct? Combo strike places 2
Yes,
into your
yes, that does
memory.
work.
You would attack into Rai for 4 damage.
I think he's considering that right now
Yeah,
as
and
he
then
hovers
Inspiring
over the.
Call. Gildas attacks for
Well,
6.
well, you could just any 2 cost inspiring call. So Swift Recruit inspiring call does work as well.
Correct. I just like the combo strike at the moment because you can also actually just kill the Flame Rune and then attack Rai again if you really want to.
Well, the combo strikes are level 2 plus
Right,
on the
right.
awaken as
So
well.
I'm fine with Swinging Face with combo strike. You deal 4 damage with Lorraine. Inspiring Call pushes Gildas up to 6 damage, and so then you hit for another 6 damage, so 10 damage total on the turn, putting your opponent down to 6 health. He either levels up or dies, and if he levels up in this situation, he is down quite a few cards.
Waiting for 1.
Okay, chooses
But
not
it
to
looks
combo
like it's
strike.
going to be Swift Recruit into the inspiring call,
Yeah.
surely.
Oh.
Oh, oh.
Is he considering dungeon guiding here?
He might not realize that dungeon guide not doesn't provide balance for Gildas.
Yeah, because he would have to banish 1 card instead of thinking you or banish 2.
I mean, you could dungeon guide without using her effect.
I mean, yeah. That does work, but it feels really bad because Dungeon Guide enables so much of that level 2, level 3 kind of like shenanigan combo.
Yeah. Uh, the Swift Recruit here is a play, but I don't know if he sees that
Yeah.
balance from the inspiring call.
These are such interesting puzzles that Guild is providing all of our players. We've seen a lot of kind of like interesting ways to play with it, interesting ways to mess up the balance. Maybe we'll look to craft some more puzzle simulators to see who can figure out how to turn on your guild is given a certain hand and board state.
Yeah, he's not thinking about that Swift Recruit at all.
Yeah.
He's probably thinking, "Oh man, I should have combo strike."
Yeah. And at this point, you're not allowed to play an attack. There's no valid
Yeah, correct.
attack to initiate there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
What about? No, it doesn't work, right? You can't uh, dungeon guide inspiring call, correct? Because you would end up with
No.
3 cards in hand. Wait. Dungeon Guide, you have 1 card in memory, 3 cards in hand. Inspiring Call, you place 1 into memory, you draw 1, and you play the call. So you have 2 memory, 2 hand.
Okay.
That does work, but it's kind of costly. I don't really love it, but it may be enough. It does do 2. I believe it does 1 more damage than the Combo Strike Inspiring Call. Actually, no,
So he
it's
needs to play his Inspiring Call right now.
yeah, it's flat damage because the Dungeon Guide is boosted as well.
Great.
Okay. He plays
Figured
Inspiring
out the
Call.
puzzle.
Okay, draws a card. You can now either, Gildas swings for 6
Hit
in
for
this instance.
6.
He did miss 1 damage. He only took 5 damage on Rai. And then Dungeon Guide swings for 2. Which he only triggered for 1. 40% needs to call this out. He's not counting the damage correctly on his opponent. His opponent, I believe, is not considering the Inspiring Call damage. And then Lorraine here would swing for 3. We'll see if this comes to matter. His opponent is 2 less damage than he should be at the moment.
Decides to kill.
That's fine.
Draw a card's fine.
Yeah. I'd rather just attack face and then force your opponent to level up. You've seen, a lot of the
Well,
cards
actually, he probably wanted to keep Reclaim.
Reclaim up.
Because he needed to draw cards to have the card to play Reclaim.
I can see it. At this point, though, Gildas has kind of done the work.
At this, maybe you might want to Reclaim the Dungeon Guide.
That could be a line as well. He has no weapons in management, though, so...
He has 1 so far.
Oh, right, the Ornamental Greatsword, yeah.
But
did he banish Infusion, or is he still holding on to that? Because in that case,
I
Dungeon
think
Guide
if
may...
is in the memory.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that 2 damage is gonna matter a lot.
Yeah.
We'll see. That is a Fire Bobble. Okay. That's not the correct one.
Well, he did start recollecting. His opponent does let him play it through. Okay. A bit of a tricky one to play out. Scry is going to help, but it may be slow. There's nothing protecting you this turn. Whether your opponent can deal 9 damage next turn, if Gildas is balanced, you're looking at 6 damage on board. So the combo strike is lethal if it can find balance in between there.
Yeah, you can find balance because you can just get the bobble and then it goes to 7. Actually, no, because
combo strike would cost 2. He'd actually have to neg a card.
It's okay. He's gonna draw Deflecting Edge.
He could also materialize a Warrior's Longsword, sacrifice the combo strike, and use Savage Slash instead. Savage Slash is 1 less damage, but the Warrior's Longsword should compensate for that as well.
I would have rather seen Rai at like 17 damage.
Yeah.
2 miss from the Inspiring Call and this 3 from face, hitting face with Lorraine.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't care too much about the Flame Rune, especially if you're holding a second combo strike. And then next turn you could also Dungeon Guide and clear as well. Decision here to be made if he wants to reclaim Gildas or not. Even if he does reclaim Gildas, he doesn't have balance for it next turn.
I think it's fine.
He could reclaim and then go level 3. Is there a way he can find balance? If he reclaims Gildas, he goes to 5 cards in hand. If he has a Bauble of Abundance, or another draw card like Fire Bauble, which I believe he still has, he would go up to 6, and then his draw per turn would go up to 7. So Reclaim does allow Gildas to be utilized next turn. If he does see that
Funny that you
line,
mentioned Bauble of Abundance.
mhm.
Uh, if any player plays Bauble of Abundance, it just permanently turns off Gilded.
Yeah, he does let Gildas die in this instance, so he didn't see that line of
Okay.
play.
He
Instead, he's
wants the
going to
Dungeon
reclaim
Guide.
Dungeon Guide. So on end step, Dungeon Guide will bounce back.
That is a free Prismatic Edge, though.
That is true.
Um.
On the following turn,
Oh,
yeah.
he's gonna make a long sword.
Yeah. He doesn't want the damage
Okay.
now, it seems like. So he can swing for 2 with the longsword, Dungeon Guide, and then attack for
I'd
3
rather just
damage.
get the Sword of Seeking in the yard. I
Yeah,
mean, in the banishment
the same amount of
first.
damage, and you have the longsword still left over. Does he have enough to play Combo Strike on top of the Dungeon Guide? No, it doesn't seem like it. We...
He did lose his infusion.
Yeah, which does feel bad, because with the Dungeon Guide would have enabled probably lethal at this point. Given the 2 damage he missed on his opponent, and kind of the setup we were talking about before, this turn should have been lethal. 9 damage is pretty easy to find with Gildas, still in your hand or on the board, and then Gildas plus Combo Strike here would be lethal without having to deal anything else. Even with the missed 2 damage, having the 2 damage on top would have made finding lethal a lot easier as well. But looks like he's going to...
Attack first, hopefully.
yeah. Chooses to attack with a longsword, so he doesn't get the +1 from the damage. So Ride does take 2 damage. We'll see a Dungeon Guide here. 2 level 3 to reset Lorraine, and then an attack for likely 3 damage now with the longsword and +1 for Dungeon Guide. So Rai will be at 18.
Actually, I like using the Longsword instead of the Sword of Seeking, because in case you draw Ghost of Pendragon,
That's fair.
it is a better target for the bounce.
Yeah. What about his
We
choices
haven't
here
seen
of
that
committing
card.
Hurricane Sweep to memory? I'd actually like to see him keep Hurricane Sweep in case your opponent
Yeah,
draws any intercepts.
but at this point in the tournament, we 40% probably knows that he's not worried about Barrier Servant.
Mm-hmm. But still, a couple draws in a row of Library Servant could block out Lorraine pretty heavily.
Yeah, but Dungeon Guide does do wonders against
That's true.
Library Witch as well.
Alright, so we'll see here an attack in for 3 with Lorraine, an attack for 1 with the Dungeon Guide, breaking the sword, so Lorraine will go up to 2 damage for next turn. Putting Rai at 3 points from lethal. I don't... No, Rai should be able to level up with his floating memory, but
Yep.
he is in a sticky situation. He's going to look to have to find a few answers at the moment. This Careful Study is looking decent. Luckily, he didn't banish this, so he should be able to cast this on this turn. He does find the Library Witch as well. Yep. Levels up to level 7 here. Careful Study only costs 1. He can draw down, play the Witch, remove the Dungeon Guide as well, but Swift Recruit can deal with that. Alright, creates 5 counters there, and draws 1 with the card. Finds a Sparks, a Light, which is not relevant too much in the moment. A Creative Shock is nice, but at this point I believe he just wants to play the Library Witch.
Yep. The question is, do you focus flames on the Dungeon Guide after you play the Library Witch?
He can't play the Focus Flame. Does it only cost 1 now?
It costs 1.
Okay, right, because the removal of focus and it just changes to class bonus.
Yep.
I'd likely think so. Focus Flame isn't doing much else in your hand at the moment. This is kind of the most useful position to be in to protect your Library Witch. He doesn't know that his opponent is holding a Swift Recruit, so he may think it'll just be the best play to block Lorraine for a few turns. I don't mind 40% materializing another weapon or a fire bubble again at this point.
Actually, a Prismatic Edge would... No, it wouldn't be lethal. And you wouldn't have a win card to reveal.
Yeah.
But if he had the win card, it would have been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's something he can prep for next turn. He can commit the combo strike to memory here.
he is doing
That is Prismatic Edge
Prismatic Edge.
cost. 3 damage, likely to face, and then you can use the Swift Recruit to clear the Library Witch. Does swinging for Prismatic Edge deal lethal? He
No,
needs...
because...
No, Prismatic
Wait,
Edge is
is it?
5 damage with the 2 weapons. He can play the Swift Recruit
Yeah,
to clear
yeah.
the Library Witch. Okay, so he
Yeah,
does find
yeah,
lethal
that
at
is
the
lethal.
end. Albeit a little riskier and a few more turns later than we saw or had the potential to be, but luckily it was able to rush down Rai here in this instance. Please don't attack first, though.
You can actually combo strike and then kill the Library Witch and then hit it with the Prismatic Edge.
That is true. It'd be the first time we've seen Combo Strike actually trigger its ability. Okay, that's fair. We'll just clear it with the Swift Recruit. Draws a card. And that is lethal for game 1, going over to 40%.
That's Ennis' first loss of a game in the entire tournament.
This is true. To a Wind Lorraine, rushing him down no less. Clearly the power of Gildas is shown in full force with Reclaim backup to save.
We haven't seen any Ghosts of Pendragon this tournament either.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
we've seen plenty in deck lists, plenty in hands, but none maybe played in the top 8.
Alright, looks like Rai's going first. It's actually a pretty similar hand to before, but...
He does have more clear. It's a question here of what he's going to play turn 1. We still want to see him play like a flame runed warrior, maybe
Yeah.
via honorable
Yeah,
Vanguard
but
as well.
last game he had these cards in his first turn, but decided to just pass.
Yeah. Maybe he'll change his mind this turn. Last game, at least, he had his Ignite to trigger for leveling up. This game, it would be Fireball, and I think he's probably valuing the Fireball a little more highly to be used as fuel for leveling up, so he may feel like he's forced to play the Flame Rune, but I think this is optimal from our eyes. Okay, Crusader, or Esteemed Knight here does kill Flame Rune fairly cleanly. So does Veteran Soldier as well, without negging you a card.
Yep.
We do
I
see,
like Veteran Soldier.
yeah, we do see Ghost of Pendragon in hand, so we'll see if it ends up coming into play here in this game.
Ghost of Pendragon does die to Focus Flames, but it is a neg 1 on Ennis.
Side. Yep. Interestingly, if we do see This veteran soldier survive, level up with ornamental greatsword, gives us into the position where second wind can have veteran soldier dealing 10 damage on her own. So the 11 damage situation that we've saw or had the potential to see previous game in the top 4. Again,
I wonder if this game will be the first game 3 match in the top 8.
He is holding up second wind to deal with potentially any threats, but the focus flame does clear or overkill enough to the point where
Yeah.
second wind won't do anything.
Yep, we're probably gonna see another flame rune.
Yep. Neg 1 on the focus flame here, going up 1 because of the floating memory that veteran soldier has. This is a free level up essentially for 40%.
Not playing the flame rune swordsman, actually.
Interesting. I'm curious why he's keeping them in hand or valuing them in hand so much. Deflecting edge here, not crazy in this matchup.
I think you try to Esteemed Knight and then just try to keep him alive with either Reclaim or Favorable Winds to be able to do a second win combo later on.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same as well. The 3 health is pretty substantial now that you've seen your opponent play 1 Focus Flames. He may not have another in hand, may not have another way to deal with this Esteemed Knight cleanly. For instance, a Blitz Mage, Focus Flame would be able to negate that. So yeah, he does play the Esteemed Knight.
No, keep the second wind. Oh, okay.
Likely he won't banish anything. If anything, he'll play like Ornamental Greatsword or
Yeah.
something else. I don't think he levels to 2 very aggressively in this matchup. I don't think you need to play the Swift Recruit here. You'd rather just hold up both Favorable Winds and Reclaim.
Yeah.
And Deflecting Edge as well is free here. So there's a
It
this
is
knight is
free.
surviving.
Well, Reclaim alone almost guarantees that a card survives.
Deep in the tank here. I think considering if he wants to play anything else, but like we mentioned, just passing here and leaving your opponent to take the first step is kind of in your favor. You can react accordingly based off of what he plays.
Okay, got some arcane cards to banish.
Yeah, some nice cards to prep for the future, but you are concerned about your current board state. There's not much you can do, and especially without leveling up, your fireball is still... or your fireball can't be used as a removal in this instance as well.
Really regretting not playing that Flame Rune Swordsman a turn earlier.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think he's looking to just banish using the 2 arcane cards and go level 2, but we're about to see a lot of damage come out next turn.
Yeah, I wonder if 40% sees the second wind play though. Um, it is. Is it lethal?
Let's see. Second wind with ornamental greatsword means
That's
you're
10
attacking for
damage
10
on the
damage.
esteemed knight,
Yeah.
and then Lorraine could hit for at least one.
He does have a combo strike as well in hand. So that should be lethal.
I don't think you can second wind
Second
and
wind and
combo
combo
strike.
strike.
Oh, no, I'm assuming that's not a second wind play then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another reclaim for backup. It's not bad, but let's see. It may be a second wind combo strike. He is hovering over the second wind card at the moment. Maybe just not associating it directly to the great sword for an extra 2 damage, but second wind combo strike at the moment would let him deal a significant amount of damage. Okay, so holding priority here, playing second wind, gives the attack bonus to the crusade or to the esteemed knight before damage is dealt.
Oh, turns over the combo
Uh,
strike.
looks like he wants to potentially just keep the reclaim and favorable wins to save the knight, but it's done enough damage. You'd rather, combo strike this turn, push for lethal, given the rest of the cards in your hand and the level 2 weapon potential as well. I think he's still very focused on the idea that when Lorraine needs to control the board or maintain units and card advantage, when at this point he should be taking maybe more of a Fire Lorraine mindset, realizing your opponent is being put dangerously close to lethal and to push for damage instead.
Yep, that's good.
Mm-hmm. The question is, does he have lethal next turn now? He would have 10 health to clear, because we know Ennis is going to level 2. He draws an Arcane Blast. It's not going to help him at the moment.
A fireball into that esteemed knight would be disastrous for Ennis.
He may try and play the Flame Rune Swordsman to kill, and then Deflecting Edge here shows its value, leaving the Steam Knight available on the board, and next turn potentially maybe lethal with level up combo strike. Let's see, 2 damage representing on the Esteemed Knight, leveling up. You have 3 damage on board. Combo strike would give you an extra 3. He would still be too short. This is where that greatsword value we were talking about does come into in play. That 2 damage missing from the greatsword would have led to the situation being lethal instead of the.
And he 40% doesn't need 4 cards in his hand right now. So he only needed 3 for anything
exactly.
he wanted to do. Does do the reclaim instead.
Yeah, maybe thought the favorable wins would buff the Steam Knight, but to die to the Honorable Vanguard instead.
Yeah. Now, does he play the favorable winds?
I'd consider it. The favorable wins isn't doing too much. You'd rather not save your units. You'd rather just kill your opponent here.
Yeah, I think there are better cards in his memory.
Risking losing
Basically,
the
if
combo
you,
strike, yeah.
yeah, you'd rather banish favorable winds over anything else, but he
Yeah.
decides not to. So
I don't believe he has anything else. So ideally, potentially even Swift Recruit gets banished in an ideal situation. Potentially the other Reclaim. Combo Strike would be the worst. And he does banish the Combo Strike. Oh,
Oh,
that is a
in
savior and a
that.
half. So let's see
Okay.
here. Attacking with Lorraine in for 3 damage at the moment. Dungeon Guide to wake Lorraine back up
And then Ghost Strike.
for another 4 damage. Potentially 5, triggering Ghost
5.
Jam as ability. Again, 2
And
damage
then
short. Does Ghosts of Pendragon become
3.
playable? Yes, you have enough cards to play Ghosts, because it only costs 2, correct?
Hmm.
No, because of the Ghost Strike. Yeah, you should still have enough to play Ghost Strike, banish a weapon, and then
But
Ghosts after, just
Ghost of
barely.
Pendragon doesn't have a weapon to bounce, though. It would just be a 3/4.
And that 3 damage should be enough to kill Rai. You're not so much looking at the weapon at the moment, just to deal lethal, I believe. Because Lorraine with Dungeon Guide is 8 damage, and I think 9 damage. Uh, let's see. Lorraine right now is dealing 3 damage with the weapon. Dungeon Guide to a wake up. Dungeon Guide deals 1 more, so net 4. Lorraine at the moment would then have 3 damage. With Ghost Strike, you do 4. Banishing another weapon, you do 5, so 9 damage total. You need the ghosts after just to deal that 1 extra point of damage.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just there after you use the Ghost Strike. So
exactly. You don't care so much
yeah,
about the ghost's effect,
yeah.
you just need the body to kill. Looks like he does see the line. You don't even need to banish weapon with Ghost Strike at the moment because Ghost does overkill.
Oh yeah, needs to trigger the Dungeon Guide first.
Yeah.
All right. He's gonna go ahead and banish a weapon, I'm assuming. And it's going to deal 2 in banishment, 1 from Ghost Strike, 1 from the bonus of Ghost Strike, and then 2 from the Lorraine 2 passive. So you're actually dealing 6 with
Wow.
this.
Yeah, I forgot about the
But it's
Ghost Strike's
actually
bonus
lethal
effect.
with the Dungeon Guide, actually.
Yeah, so overkilling by 3 with Ghost, just to show you have it. Looks like
Or,
there's some miscounting, but
yeah, that's a lot of
Ghosts
miscounting.
cleans up anyway. Luckily for 40%. Oh, no?
Passes!
Passes the turn.
Wow.
With lethal in
Really needed
hand,
that.
chooses not to
Really-
use it. Maybe he's focusing too much on the Ghost's effect.
You really needed to draw 2.
He could
Oh wow,
potentially
that's a lot of.
lose now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That. Also, miscounting Ghost Strike is also huge.
Yeah.
Oh, one of those Kratos guys definitely getting Ennis
Oh.
a spell shield.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Maybe he thinks that Ghost requires you to bounce an equipment or a regalia rather than having the option to bounce.
Yeah, it's 2 mislethals in 1 turn.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Really being punished with not maybe like tracking your opponent's life totals here, both in last game and this game. Luckily, one out in last games, but it may matter in this game here. thinking he only needs to do 6 damage. Probably Ornamental Greatsword plus Ghosts here gives you enough damage to potentially get around Spell Shield as well? No. If you bounce the Greatsword, Lorraine can't attack, so there is some trickiness to this. Let's see what he's putting at the bottom.
I'm sure 40% would appreciate seeing this this misplay being eternalized.
The finals of our second constructed tournament, or our first constructed tournament. But this is all a learning time. This is the first time these players are playing with these constructed decks in a tournament setting after all, so nerves do matter. Okay. Wait. He pulled Spell Shield but doesn't have... Oh,
He
he
has
has the
6 in life.
counters. I guess pulling out Prismatic Edge here in this instance.
Oh, true. Does he have double wind in his memory?
I believe so. Because he has the Swift Recruit still. And
Well, actually, no.
doesn't
Prismatic
play
Edge
it.
doesn't prevent him
It
from
won't,
using Spell Shield.
but it'll deal 3 damage, and then you can play Ghosts to bounce the Prismatic Edge and attack with the Ghosts and the Dungeon Guide as well. If you're holding your opponent on Spell Shield, only giving him 3 counters, maybe better than trying to combo him out with the Prismatic Edge itself.
I think it might be a weapon with more than 1 durability, because you still want Lorraine to swing. Maybe if Seer Sword.
Yeah.
It does effectively the same thing as Prismatic Edge, but costs 1 memory instead of 2.
That's true. Okay.
Ooh.
It takes the longsword.
I didn't realize that longsword wasn't used yet.
A second ghost. That is disgusting. That might be enough.
Yeah, that is enough if he realizes that ghosts can be played without a regalia.
Yeah.
It is enough.
Okay, attacks with the Dungeon Guide.
He needs to attack with Lorraine now, and Lorraine will not actually be lethal.
Question is, will Ennis trigger this card here on the 4 damage? Okay, draws 1. Draws 2. Has to play the Spell Shield, so he blocks 4 damage here, but leaves him open after this point. Deflecting Edge.
Oh, Deflecting Edge on Rye?
Oh, to block 3 damage and only deal 1.
And then it still deals damage to trigger the Spell Shield.
Just 1, but he loses lethal. Prevention Shield ruling. Rye is a valid target, correct? Silidar, you may need to go over to help resolve.
Actually, so with the stack in this case doesn't really matter because they're both going to resolve and they're both going to apply to how they're gonna both affect how the next instance of damage will be dealt.
Yeah.
And when the case of 2 damage modification effects are being applied at the same time, the owner of the object that's being damaged gets to apply those effects in any order. So Ennis is actually going to be able to resolve the Spell Shield's prevention. The owner of the object that's being damaged. So it's up to Ennis if he would allow 40% to take it back, but if he does that, then 40% does have lethal. 4 damage isn't enough for Ennis to draw 2 more cards.
Yeah.
Or actually, he put down the arcane spell, the other arcane spell shield he drew anyways. So
Yeah, so in this case, Ennis, if we allowed it to play forward, would trigger the spell shield's effect first, right? Taking the 4 damage, the spell shield would trigger, preventing it, gaining 4 counters, and then deflecting edge. But no damage is being dealt, so deflecting edge does nothing, correct?
yep, deflecting arrows would do nothing, and it's really up to Ennis if he wants 40% to be able to rewind
Yeah.
it.
Should we let them know that it's up to Ennis to replay the situation if they would like?
And he choose to make it 4 damage, then so when he and it's actually very bad for 40% because the deflecting edge is actually going to still be in effect, which would block the damage from Ghost of Pendragon.
For the next source of damage dealt, correct?
Yep. So now, even if he plays Ghost of Pendragon, it's going to be prevented by his own deflecting
Deflecting
edge.
edge. You'd still play it here
Wow.
for the draw.
Yeah.
An interesting situation. Another missed lethal.
Yep.
I guess just a new application of the rulings here. We haven't seen simultaneous effects like this before, kind of in a tournament match, so it hasn't come up before. Still, the best play goes to Pendragon. Bounce your longsword. The 2 cards will help immensely. Whether your opponent can kill you next turn or not, he still has to hold up Spell Shield, but yeah, the Spell Shield is not amazing. You're preventing damage, drawing a card, but not the 12 cards we've come to expect sometimes.
Uh,
Yeah, just resolving the effect here of deflecting edge.
okay, he's gonna go ahead and take it, I guess. Kind of like a compromise.
Yeah, for the playing out of the situation. Rather, I guess what happens here is 40% doesn't still loses the deflecting edge, but the effect I guess doesn't happen. Rather have had it back in hand still, but
Mhm.
now realistically Ennis does have to win next turn or he's dead.
No, he does have another spell shield, and he has 2 life. 2 life is enough to tank um a dungeon guide hit.
Is it enough to tank another? Well, no. You pull out the Ornamental Greatsword, you buff your Dungeon Guide, and then you play your second Ghost
Oh,
of
true, true,
Pendragon,
true.
giving you 3
Yeah,
sources of
so
damage to deal lethal.
you can find another spell shield with that scry, I believe.
Does he have enough cards in hand though?
From spell shielding a first instance of attack and then drawing from that enlighten, maybe.
Maybe.
Uh, we'll see. He is level
He's level
9
7.
right now.
Oh, correct. He bought bubble. Okay, going to scry.
So fireballs deal 10. You need 3 fireballs or arcane blast.
Even if Fireball deals 10, he doesn't have enough cards to play that many Fireballs, correct?
He does have, yeah.
Careful
True.
Study is free, but it only nets you 1 card.
He does
Well,
have 2 enlightened, 2 draws with enlightened too.
yeah. So Careful Study really only nets you 1, or replaces itself, because you're not getting
Yeah.
the additional trigger.
Yeah. Ennis, interestingly, does not run any pure into mana.
Yeah.
Which would be essentially almost a draw 4.
Mm-hmm. Maybe considers the cost of placing 4 cards into memory too expensive. Not fast enough paced for his game style.
You'd have any 2 cards, any 3 cards in your deck, maybe. What would it be for Rye?
Well, he can only look at the top 9, so if he is unlucky,
Well, let's just say he's the luckiest Rye player right now. If he can get the 3 best cards to the top of his deck. It would probably be Arcane Blast, Arcane Blast. No, it's not even
no.
enough. It would need double Arcane Sight, Arcane Blast, Arcane Blast, Arcane
Yeah.
Blast. Or something like that.
Or like Careful Study, Arcane Sight, Arcane Sight, Arcane Sight, Arcane Blast, Arcane Blast.
Okay, that's one.
That is not going to do it. Looks like he's
Did
setting
he
up for
top
next
that?
turn instead. So that's 5 counters. He can draw 1 more card. Yeah, it looks like he topped the Library Witches.
This position is
He
not
cannot
what you
play
want
that
to
discard
see.
position. So he's stuck. He can play 1 Library Witch, but has to hold up the Spell Shield. Which means he is dead on board next turn. Greatsword, well, you don't even need the Ornamental Greatsword, but it does help. Yeah, Greatsword, Ghosts, and then Savage Slash gives you 4 sources of damage to deal. He can only block 2 of them. Either way Ennis plays, he can only block 2 sources of damage, either 2 Library Witches or 1 Library Witch and 1 Spell Shield.
Just a simple ornamental
Yeah.
greatsword.
We haven't seen it all game. It would have been great plays almost every single turn of this game, but hopefully we see it now. I wonder what his thought is. Maybe he thinks he can gamble the Prismatic Edge if he's committed 1 fire card into memory, but that seems very unlikely. I'm going to assume this is
What is that? Sword of Seer Sword? Oh my
Yes.
gosh. You needed that dungeon guy to deal
Wait.
3. I mean, deal 2.
But Ennis didn't play a Library Witch, so he can only block 1 instance of lethal.
But he can kill something with
Fireball, correct. Banner Knight is not irrelevant. It turns Dungeon
Yep.
Guide into lethal.
Yep. But he himself is not lethal.
Yeah.
It's yeah. But also Banner Knight get fireballed. It's the same thing as removing something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Ghost is played.
Arcane Spell Shield first, so that you can draw. See any more options?
Okay. He
Oh,
fireballs the
decides to fireball first.
ghost.
Pays 3 for that, interestingly.
So Banner Knight into Banner Knight into exactly into Dungeon Guide swing.
Yes, please swing with the Dungeon Guide first and not Lorraine.
Okay.
Okay.
Draw some
Draw.
card.
See what he can draw. Okay, Arcane Sight is something. It is fast.
Yeah.
He did put one extra card down into memory from Fireball.
Which may cost him as well.
Yep.
That won't
Oh,
do it.
Ignite. Does that matter? Nope,
No.
it doesn't do it.
You have to spell shield this, and then Lorraine will swing in for lethal.
Yep. Vulture only gets 2 Enlightened 2. No draws.
Yep.
And then Lorraine swings in for.
Yeah, plus you've already triggered your enlightenment from Fireball. And that is it. We have our champion of this tournament, with 40% taking it 2-0 in the finals.
With so many misplays, still manages to pull it off.
Yeah. What an interesting game, especially in this endgame state. Both players. And some interesting rulings that we probably haven't seen before, but should be good to learn up on now. All right, I will end the recording there.